Hey, welcome back, everybody. Monday Morning Briefing, episode 24 or 25. I really can't remember. I think it's 24, though. March the 8th, and we're back in the shop this morning. It's been a fun week last week. We got a lot of stuff done, made a lot of progress on some different projects. Many of y'all might have seen already, if you're watching this video, by the time this one comes out, that we just posted the second video in the cleaning of a saddle series that we're doing. Remember, we already did one video a while back last year on breaking a saddle down to get cleaned out. Intended for those 3 videos to be back to back, but just the way things kind of played out, we weren't able to get it done. But on that particular saddle, because we needed to get it out there on the sales floor and stuff. But anyway, we just posted the video on washing the saddle. So it's a different saddle, but the process is the same as far as breaking one down and then washing one. So we're washing a different saddle. We've already shown you that saddle. We were able to get that video edited this weekend. I actually came in yesterday, Sunday, and got that video all edited and posted, and it actually went live first thing this morning, Monday morning, which you're probably watching this Tuesday. So that video's out. You may or may not have seen that already. I think it's pretty good. It just shows my process. I don't, everybody's got a different way of doing them, and like I mentioned in the video, some people like to use a pressure washer, that kind of thing. That's fine. Whatever your process is, that's great. But this is just kind of how I do it. So hopefully that helps you. The washing a saddle isn't really brain science or anything. The main deal is getting it clean and getting the dirt off. And we show you in there kind of how I do that. You certainly don't have to have a tub station like I have for washing those. You can certainly just wash them on a rack out in your yard. It really doesn't matter how you do it. I just like it that way because I tend to get less water on myself while I'm washing. If you wash a saddle on a saddle rack in the yard, you make a muddy mess and get water all over your boots and your jeans and stuff. And so this way it's just a little bit cleaner. But we got that video posted. The next one will be the assembly of that saddle, and that one will be coming out this week. We're going to get that saddle wrapped up. Last week I just got tied up. We had a lot of visitors last week, which was great. Some of them are old friends, some of them are new friends. We had a gentleman come in all the way from California to visit, so that was a lot of fun. He was on vacation and cruising around and just making a trip, and he had some friends to visit around the Austin area and Houston, and so he thought, I'm this close, I might as well come by the shop, and we were glad to have him. So we had a real good visit with him, and really appreciate him stopping by. Something else that we did last week was we ended up offering the sheepskin pads. So many of y'all may have seen these. We've had a lot of people asking about scrap sheepskin. Can they buy scrap sheepskin from me? You know, do I have any available that I would be willing to ship? Normally my answer to that is unfortunately no, I'm sorry, but try to find a saddle maker close to you, because usually you can get free sheepskin scraps from them because they usually have a lot. We as saddle makers use it mainly for applying finishes, oil finishes, things like that. And for other little projects and things, but we usually have so much scrap that we sure don't mind giving some away. The problem is if everybody goes to that one saddle maker, he's eventually he can't give it all away. He's got to use some of it, and some guys charge for it. I've charged for it too in the past occasionally if it's a big chunk or something, or somebody wants quite a bit. But what we decided to do was we've got a coaster die. Basically, I had a coaster die made because we've got a few little coaster projects we want to do. And those are actually perfect. It was kind of twofold. The guy I learned to build saddles from, he had a coaster die, and that's what we would cut these pads out with. He had a big clicker in the shop, and we always cut just these circle pads. If you've never cut scrap sheepskin to make your own applicators or your own finished pads like this, cutting it by hand is kind of laborious and boring, and you get a nice big pair of shears or something, or even leather shears, or even do it with a razor blade. It's just time consuming, and it never fails when you sit down and you go over there, you got a belt done or a project done, you need to antique it, you go over there to your antiquing station or wherever you do that, and you've got one of these left. So you need that, then you've got to break from what you were doing and go and cut a whole pile of these, because you will roll through them if you antique a lot. And I know how much of a pain that is. So anyway, usually it's not worth buying a good hide of sheepskin and cutting it up just for this, but I was able to find some sheepskin hides that are more or less seconds. So they've got some issues with them. The pile may not be thick enough for them to grade top number 1, which is what we use on our saddles. Maybe the hide actually has, the leather part actually has a bunch of cuts in it, and so we were able to find a lead on that. I'm not sure how many I'm always going to have, but as I come across them or as I find them, then I'm going to cut them up and put them in dozen packs and offer them on the website. We did that last week. We sold out every time we put a new batch on the website. So first, thank you. They're $10 for a dozen of them, and I just wanted to put it out there just so we had that option, because so many people call me about sheepskin and I really don't have a lot of scrap. So this way we have that offered on the website if you want it. Obviously you're probably better off buying even a number one and cutting it up, but that's, you know, $90, $100, whatever they are. And so I thought this was a good option, especially if somebody doesn't need a ton. You buy a couple packs of those, you got 24 of these laying around. That's pretty handy for no more than they cost. But we wanted to go ahead and do that, and like I said, they sold out. Every time I put more on the website, they'd sell out. I'm talking about within 30 minutes. And so if you were trying to grab some and every time I posted them they were out of stock, I apologize. We will try to get more on there this week, but obviously my time can't be spent just cutting these out all day. So that's kind of what happened this past week, a couple of days there, where we were just all afternoon I was cutting these things out, trying to be sure, because I thought I had enough. I had a big old saddle box full of them, and Claudia's packaging them, and she's like, I need more. And I'm like, geez. So we got it kind of lined out. But thank y'all very much. But I'm going to show you real quick kind of what I do with these. If you've never used one of these, you can certainly use synthetic sheepskin too. I haven't ever used, I mean, I've used synthetic sheepskin for this kind of stuff, applicators, but I just prefer the real. Just to me, it does a little bit better job. The synthetic has more of a carpet type backing to it, and so sometimes depending on what finish you're putting on, it can really saturate through that and get on your hands. This leather actually offers you kind of a little protection on that. If you're doing dye work and you're really dyeing a big spot, I'll take that dye and put it on here and go to using this instead of a dauber, because I can get it on there more evenly. The dye will still strike through here and get on your hands, but that's just part of it. Wear a glove if you want or whatever. But these work really good. But what happens is when you get these, there'll be a dozen of them in there if you decide to get some, and we don't trim them. So all you'll have to do is trim them to the pile thickness that you like. And usually what I do, like we try to rake off, because usually it's got a lot of these little fuzzies on there. We try to pull as much of that off as we can, because that's kind of aggravating, but it's part of sheepskin. But then as you can see, that the hair is out past the leather there. So what I like to do is just take a big nice pair of shears like this. These are just craft shears for cutting fabric, and it works perfect for this. And I'll just trim from the leather side, you know, looking across there. I just kind of trim any excess off. That's the first step. That's what I do. So that way the sheepskin is not hanging out over the leather, okay? Because these little fuzzies can get into your finish, especially your antique or your tan coat or your top coat, whatever you're going to use. Those little fuzzies can get on there. So one quick way to get rid of those is just to trim the outside of it so that it's more beveled. And then I'll usually just give it a haircut, just a little crew cut here, and we just kind of cut some of that off. And I don't spend a lot of time. We're not making money, you know, making pads. As craftsmen, we just need this pad to work for whatever application we're doing for. So anyway, I'll trim it, and that's about as thick. You know, I'll just kind of take off the top there, and that's about what I would use for putting on tan coat or a finish. Now, if I'm antiquing or if I'm buffing an antique out, like I've already applied the antique, gave it just a minute or so to kind of set, depending on the contrast you're looking for, I might use another one of these and get a clean one, and I'll just, like I said, go around here, get those fuzzies off around the outside. And then I might not trim this one as short. Just take off anything that I can see that's kind of sticking up. You kind of, if you've got a barber's license, you'd be really, really good at this. So if any of y'all are hairdressers by day and craftsmen at night, this will be perfect. It'll fit right in. But I'll leave that pile a little bit thicker because I want that pile to get down in there, those fibers to get down into the tooling and pull as much of that antique as I can get out of there. That's how I antique. I don't like a muddy look, so I don't want a bunch of it left on there. So I want to try to buff as much out as possible, and so I'll use that. And then if you're doing something else, you may trim it even shorter. So that's kind of the rundown on the pads. It's super simple. Figure most of y'all already know that, but I just wanted to kind of do it real quick on the video in case people get them and they're like, well, how do I use these? I finally got them. That's what everybody's using. How do I use them? Just they're usually too hairy around there. Just kind of, we'll just kind of trim around with a pair of nice big shears, and then a little bit off the top. And that's about all I do. Now on a wool dauber, if you're using a wool dauber, you've probably seen me do that in a video. The best thing to do on those, because they have the little fuzzies too, that can kind of, especially if you're trying to be real careful dyeing around something and you're going to use a dauber, if you've got fuzzies sticking out, they'll hold dye and you'll get dye somewhere you don't want it. The quickest way to work on those, just take that dauber and a little lighter, cigarette lighter, and just light it real quick and just kind of turn it. It's not going to catch on fire and stuff, but it'll burn all the fuzzies off. It stinks, in the shop. You used to, every time we did that a couple times a day usually in the shop, and you can always tell when somebody's doing it because it smells. If you've ever branded cattle, that's kind of what it smells like. It stinks. It's burning hair. So, but it'll burn those fuzzes off there, and I usually do that especially on the daubers I use for dyeing my edges. I'll burn those fuzzes off of the dauber, and that way I've got a nice clean dauber that doesn't have any stray hair sticking out, that I can be very careful with my dye application and get it exactly where I want it. And so you can kind of do the same with these, other than I wouldn't burn them, but you can trim them up to where if you're trying to antique a saddle that has a padded seat in there, you can trim this thing really smoothly and get your antique and really get up the side where that padded seat is, and not get it up on there. If you just use one that's fresh and there's fuzz hanging out all over the place, you're guaranteed to get dye on that suede or ostrich or whatever you've got as your padded seat. So, but anyway, wool pads, we're going to try to keep them on the website. Hopefully I can get ahead of you guys. Like I said, I've got a few more little hides there I can cut up and get those packaged and on the website. We also have them in the store, so if you are around the area and you come by here, we've got them in a big bucket out there on the retail floor if somebody needs one or two or whatever, or we'll have the packages out there too. So, but that's the sheepskin pads. That was kind of a cool little item that it's more of a service I offer more than anything, just so that you guys have a place to go to get those, because I know if you don't have a saddle maker close by, it can kind of be a pain in the butt trying to find sheepskin, and it almost feels wrong to buy a whole hide and cut them up, but at least a good hide. The ones I'm cutting they're not good enough for putting sheepskin on. Maybe on a little repair saddle or something that guy's trying to save some money, I could use one of those, but honestly they're really not big enough, and they've got holes all in them, and the pile's just not real deep on there. So kind of use them for that for now, as long as I can get them. I'm not going to guarantee that I'm always going to be able to get them, but when I have them, I'll cut them and put them on the website. Belt blanks, I may have some more coming this week that I'm going to cut out of what I've got. I've got more leather coming, still not here yet, so it should be. I don't know if it'll be this week or not, but I do have a few hides that I may try to get some more belt blanks cut off of there. I've also got a pile of what I would call seconds, and they're just belt bodies that have, again, they may have some blemishes on there and stuff that I'm just being overly critical and picky when I package those belt material packs up. And so it doesn't take a lot for me to kick one off to the side and say I'm not going to send that one. But now that we're out and that you guys are buying them every time we put them on there, I may offer a seconds pack that may be just a little bit cheaper. It's just as good a leather, it just may have some blemishes on there or something like that. So I'm going to work on that, kind of look at that. I've been using them, but I can go through them in my shop. If I've got a 32-inch belt I'm building, I can go through those and pick one out where that blemish is past my cut length, so that I'm going to cut it off anyway. And so that works out for me, but not knowing your size, I hate to send that to you and without telling you that there's a mark in there and there's a chance it's going to end up in the belt. So we'll work on that. We also added some new merch this weekend that Claudia got done. Just we got a new baseball cap that she did, just a new color. Same type of cap that we always do, but it's just a different color. It's like a gray and red. It's a pretty cool cap. And then she also did beanies. She's been wanting to do those for a while. And I know it's the tail end of winter. Maybe not for you. Maybe y'all got another month or so of winter, but here it's still cold in the mornings, but we're starting to see spring pop a little bit. We may end up with a freeze again, a light freeze. Usually we do late March. So, but anyway, we've got those on the website too. If you want to check those out, you can see those. You may have seen them on Instagram, or you can go on our website and check those out. Couple updates as far as the rope bag. I did the front. You've already seen the front part of the rope bag. I also did the back part this week, and so we got it basket stamped. I got the center. I did a little floral set, and then got it antiqued and everything else. So we're ready. We got the edges slicked, and we're ready to start putting it together. Like I said, we are filming that. I also have the pocket. We're doing a front pocket on the very front. Some people have asked what this blank spot is for. There will be actually a front pocket on here, so it'll have a flap with a gentleman's brand in there, and it's the front panel is basket stamped. It's over there, and then we'll have our hangers here for the strap. So that's what we're doing. I've got to tool the flap on the pocket and the little hangers. I'll tool those two for the D's, and that'll be ready to start assembling, which we should make some good progress on that this week. I'm hoping to get that done. I got the leather end. Let me show you. I got the leather end for the gussets, and we went ahead and, since we did a black background, I asked the customer if she thought it would be pretty cool, because I thought it'd be pretty cool. So, but I wanted to run it by her of doing a black gusset in that bag, and she liked the idea. So we got some really nice black old tan. This came from Robert at Larry Lewis Leather Sales, or Lewis Leather Sales. You've heard me mention him before. If you need chap leather, any kind of really nice earth tone type chap leathers or anything like that, they also sell a lot of exotics and elephant and ostrich and alligator and caiman and all that stuff. But he has a big supply of oil tans and just regular chap leathers. And so he's got a lot of different colors, black, browns, chestnuts, all kinds of stuff. So if you're in the hunt for any kind of chap leather, good reasonable price, he does sell this stuff. And so you can certainly get with him and kind of see what he's got and his availability and stuff. But that's where I got this. Also, Aaron at Maker's Leather Supply has a good supply of chap leather, as most of y'all may know. And so between those two places, you shouldn't have any problems getting the chap leather that you want. But those are the two guys. If I'm hunting chap leathers and stuff like that, that's who I go to. Speaking of that, I got one more hide I want to show you. Hang on. So I have a bag that I've got to make for a guy, good customer, really nice fella, and we've made him a couple things, and he wants a kind of soft briefcase, not like a hard, fully tooled briefcase. We are going to do some tooling on it, but it's not going to be, a traditional hard shell briefcase. And he wanted something kind of different, and I made my dad a bag years and years and years ago that we kind of call the Pony Express bag. But the bag it's about, briefcase size, however big, hold a laptop or two. And the back of it came all the way up, and the flap comes all the way back down to the bottom of the front of the bag. So there's no closure, there's no anything. It's just a big flap. The flap's over. On that flap, there's also, I think I did a pocket on the front, and the flap, there was no pocket. But the back part of the front also had a big pocket on the outside. So you had a couple quick access pockets, and then when you opened it up, it was 2 compartment, and then had a big strap. It was a really neat looking bag, kind of just utilitarian, daily carry, and as the bag aged and Dad carried it for years and years and years, that bag really took on a really cool look. And I had built it out of some real nice chap leather, like this black leather, but it was brown. And then when Dad passed away, Ben got it. My brother got that bag, and that's the bag he carries every day, and it's looking better and better every day. And so it's a really neat bag. That's really the only one I ever made. I may have made 1 or 2 more. But anyway, this customer was requesting a bag, and I told him about that bag, and he said, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So I said, okay, cool. And I've been wanting to try the new leather from Aaron and Herman Oak teaming up together, and Herman Oak came up with this leather that they call 1880, I'm pretty sure. And it's a veg tan chap leather. So this is all veg. It's not a chrome tan. And it's waterproof, completely waterproof. And so I've been hearing about it. Aaron's told me about it. The guys at Herman Oak have told me about it. Robert's talked about it. And what Aaron had them do was come up with one that was, because he's got 2 kinds. So if you call up there, you're going to have to tell him which one you want. But the first one they sent him was super nice leather, and he's been building some vests and jackets out of this stuff. But it was really soft, super, super soft. And he wanted something that had just a little bit more body to it for bags and projects like that, where you wanted it to have just a little bit more stiffness, where it wasn't so soft and supple. So they came out with another version, basically the same leather, but it's firmer. And what they call that, I think, is Expedition. You want all the details of this, just call Maker's Leather Supply. Aaron will talk your ear off about it, because he loves this leather. But anyway, I told Aaron I want to do a video, and I'm going to build a Pony Express bag, and I want to use that 1880 Herman Oak veg. I'm a big fan of veg leather compared to like a chrome tan leather or something like that. Although I love both. Like I'll use whatever, like a Halloween Chrome XL or something like that. Those are great leathers. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm a saddle maker and a tooling guy. I know how to work with veg. I prefer on certain projects to work with the veg. And this is neat because it looks like a chap leather, but it's not. It's actually a veg tan. So we're going to build that bag out of this leather and see how it comes out. I think it's going to be pretty cool. We are going to do some tooled panels on it. There'll be a video on this. Not sure on a pattern pack. Again, it's so big. I'm still working on that. That's a whole nother issue, trying to get figured out on how I'm going to create these printed pattern packs. So for those of y'all that are waiting, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get everything together and worked out, but I'm not a graphics designer. So that's my limitations are starting to get me on that side. But we're going to get those done. But anyway, this will be a cool project video. It's going to be a neat bag. And I think this leather is going to work perfect for it, because I mean, especially like a bag that a guy carries every day. If he sets it down on the ground or on the desk and there's condensated, water from a glass or something on there, it's not going to hurt it. Which it wouldn't hurt anyway, but it might stain other leathers. So we're going to give that a whirl. But again, if you want to check out the waterproof, because I mean they are marketing it as a waterproof leather, completely waterproof. So if you want to check some of that out, holler at Aaron. He can tell you all about it and kind of what Herman Oak's plan is with it. And he distributes it, so he has that leather in stock. And so you can certainly call up there and grab you a side and make something out of it and see what you think about it. But that's what we're going to do there with that stuff. So I'm excited. We got some new leathers in and some different types of stuff we're going to play with and try to do some neat projects in the next coming weeks. Just real quick, as far as the yoke tote, nothing happened last week again. So Claudia doesn't seem too upset yet, so that's a good thing. Want to stay on her good side. Obviously we work together all day, but I also have to go home, so I don't want her mad. But she's pretty easygoing. She doesn't really get upset about things. But anyway, we just hadn't had time. Her and I both been running crazy this week and doing that. Another thing that happened this weekend, speaking of running crazy, I didn't know it until Friday. She forgot to conveniently tell me, or maybe she did and I didn't listen, probably more the case. But we had the local Chamber of Commerce banquet here in Moulton, which I didn't know anything about. But she said, hey, we got a table at the banquet and this and that. And I was like, oh, I thought we were just going to eat. But she said, no, we got to have a table. So Saturday, I came in and worked all day, pretty well all day. And then she came into town or went out there and got her, and we all came into town. And her and I and the kids picked out a bunch of items just for display and stuff. And we took it over there to the American Legion Hall, I think is where we were. And set up a little table and, talked and visited with people there and stuff like that. So, it's a little bitty town, so most of these people I've already met and stuff like that. But there was a lot of people that just haven't been getting out and about, I guess, with coronavirus especially and that kind of thing. So it was a good event, a good opportunity for people to meet us and kind of see what we do and that kind of thing. And it was a lot of fun. So we went there and the kids stayed over at my mom's house, and so we had a little date night, which doesn't happen very often. But a couple hours out, and then went and picked them up and went home, and came into work on Sunday. So, but it was a fun event. We had a good time, and we're just really excited to be a part of a little community here. So it was pretty neat. But let me grab some coffee, and I want to show you some updates that we did on the saddles. We did make some good progress on saddles last week, and hopefully we can get them wrapped up this week is my goal. I don't know if that'll happen, but we're going to try. All right, so here's our ranch saddle. We ended up getting, if you follow us on Instagram, you saw I added a bunch of decorative carving. I did have some people ask, are you going to tool that, or is it just carved in? It is just carved in. I draw and carve stuff differently whenever we do what we call decorative cutting or decorative knife work, and that's what this is. It's just carved into the rough out. We don't go through and stamp it or anything else. I have seen guys do similar stuff like this and do like a half stamp where you just kind of go in and add just a little bit of texture with a few tools, but you're not actually beveling everything and backgrounding everything or anything like that. But I just kind of like to do the knife work. I think it adds a nice little touch. And we did some up here underneath the front jockey that you'll see when we do our final cut. But we got the housings braided together and put in place. They're where they're going to live, and then we were able to get our seat put in. This will be a straight up candle or a buckaroo roll. Some people call it pencil roll, and so it'll be straight up, and then the seat is drying. So we'll probably give this probably till late afternoon, and then I'll start doing final cut and then a refit. Then it'll dry, and then the seat will be ready to put in for the final time and start getting a binder on. But it's rolling along really good. And then our rope and saddle, we got both housings tooled, and so we put the gentleman's brand or ranch name in there and that kind of deal, and we got it all floral carved and antiqued. I've just got to do my edge work, so we'll slick that up here this morning, get the edges slicked, get these braided together, get these set in place, get our plugs in for our binder and our Cheyenne roll, and then we'll put the seat in, and it'll be caught up to this one. So hopefully I can get a seat in this one today or early tomorrow morning, because once the seat's in, then we can mark off our front and we can get this tooled, and so that'll kind of go good. On his fenders, we will be putting his brand, which is this DDR. It's a neat little brand that we'll put it just in the middle of the fender, and it'll just rough out fenders. But this saddle's gonna be like a little half breed, and it's gonna look really neat. So we're gonna get it kind of headed that direction and get it wrapped up. So I just want to show y'all one little thing I did on my splitter. This is our Cobra Class 14 splitter, and I'm loving this machine. I don't know that I would have a shop now without some way of splitting down material. We've been able to really put to use a lot of our scraps and leathers that I would normally throw away. We're now using for whatever, wallet interiors, liners for certain little things. Lots of different stuff like that. In fact, we may start offering some of our patterns in some, odd lot type leathers, like just some stuff I have. Maybe I get only 3 kits for this particular wallet out of, or something like that. Might be something that we may start adding to the website, or just offering on social media and saying, hey, I got 3 of them. Let us know if you want one. When they're gone, they're gone. That's all the leather I had of that kind. But anyway, this machine really makes things a lot more efficient in the shop, and allows me to put to use a lot of leathers that I normally wouldn't have any use for because they're too thick. And it saves me a lot of time. Again, it's a big investment, but I really think that if you're kind of serious about it and you're doing it more on a full-time level or something like that, and you can afford to invest in one of these, this machine will really help you. I would dare say that this machine would probably help you more than a clicker right from the time you get it to your shop. The clicker is great investment that we made, and we'll do a full review of our clicker for those that are interested in that. But the thing you got to remember with a clicker is, you invest $4,000 or $5,000 in a clicker, you still have to have all the dies made to use it, and so that's where more of your investment comes long term, because you're having to pay to have the dies made, which they're not super expensive, but you get 100, 200 dies made. You're gonna be in it for quite a bit over an extended period of time as you build up your die collection. But on this machine, one thing I had, it's got just this table, and I had this trash can set over here, and as I'm splitting, if I'm splitting a lot of stuff, the leather scrap, the split leather, the trash would pile up right here and fall on the floor, and I'd have to rake it in the trash can. Not a big problem. But I thought, I'm going to try, just out of this corrugated cardboard, cardboard box, I just kind of quickly chopped out a little chute and taped it up and just kind of nailed it right here to the bench so that it's at this angle here. And so now as I split stuff, it kind of falls down this chute and straight into the trash can. Something simple, not really hard to imagine that would be a handy little option or accessory. I would like to make it out of wood or something like that, just so that it's not junky cardboard. But knowing me, that'll be around for a couple of years before I finally get to it. But anyway, I just thought I'd show you that. If you do have one of these splitters, that's something to think about. Maybe I just took, like I said, I think this was a Weaver leather box, and I just cut it up and kind of made a little chute, and it's just propped up over here. And then I just put 3 little ring shank nails in there just to hold it down, and seems to work really good. Just a little tip. I thought somebody with one of these splitters may say, hey, why didn't I do that? That's a good idea. Or you may say, Don, that's a dumb idea. Take that off. That looks stupid. But I think it works good, so I just wanted to give y'all a little tip on that. I had somebody ask, and I don't remember if it was on Instagram or Facebook or maybe YouTube, I don't know, but somebody asked what this light, if I just use it for filming or do I actually use it for my lighting at my bench. Yes. Currently, that is the only light I have in this corner. My intentions are to build a cabinet above this tooling bench. Now that I know that's probably where it's going to live, I'm going to build like a riser cabinet with storage on top and then a light underneath. It's just really dark in this corner. I ended up putting one of these studio lights or whatever you call these. I stuck this over here because for one of the videos we were shooting, because in the video you couldn't see what I was tooling. So I put that light there and I thought, whoa, I've been tooling in the dark. A lot of times you'll forget, or not forget, but you won't notice how dim or dark a workbench is or wherever you're working. Your eyes just kind of adjust and you make do. My suggestion is to try to pay attention to that, and if you notice your eyes are straining or you notice that, man, I'm having to kind of squint to see this, or I can't really see the finish real well, or like if you dye something and then you come out to a different area in your shop and you notice that it looks different, your lighting is probably not very good. Lighting is very, very important, and it's something I'm always tweaking and always trying to get better light where I'm working. I'm always trying to find better light. So it's one of them things that for now this is working. That's what I'm using it for. Really, it's just for video. When I'm videoing, if I need extra light, I can pull that light over there. But this thing has been here for about 4 months, all through Christmas and everything else. And it's just to offer more light over there. I was tooling over there and didn't realize, except at the end of the day, my eyes were just wore out, and I'd get home and my eyes were just kind of itchy and just kind of strained. And it's like, hey, you've been doing this long enough, you should have known better, and I'd be tooling in the dark. Basically that's what I was doing. But anyway, that's my suggestion. No matter how you can do it, like I said, I just got that right there now. I don't like it there. I trip over the dang thing all the time. I wish it wasn't there, but right now that's what I've got to do because I haven't had time to get me a light there that would brighten that area up. But take some time. Be sure you get some form of light, even if you just got to hang a light bulb or something. But you need to have the proper amount of light to do your work. So I do want to mention that if you're hunting for it and you think you might have missed it last week, you didn't. We didn't have a podcast for Lost Trade. We're just busy. I've been busy in the shop, and I've been kind of lucking out and getting anything to the producer on time or anything else. He had everything, but he's been busy. He's been on a couple jobs and stuff. It's the last week we just couldn't make it happen between the two of us. We just couldn't get it coordinated. So not a big deal. We did interview somebody, so we do have an episode for last week. It's just a matter of getting it all produced. And so I'm sure this week it'll come out. That's one of the deals in business, just like with our YouTube channel. Even though this side of our business is becoming bigger and bigger every year, we also have obligations to our customers that we have to take care of, just like he does with his video production business. He has those obligations that come first after his family, and so it's family then business, and it's the same way here. So those two things, and then we can get the extra stuff done. And the podcast being a passion project for me and him, it's just a fun deal that we're doing on the side. It's just one of the things, like sometimes we'll have to sacrifice, hitting our personal deadline every week and just get done our obligation on whatever we've got, work-wise on his part or on my part, and then come back to it. So I apologize for no podcast last week. Not a big deal. It's going to be a good one. I think a lot of y'all are really going to like who we interviewed. I'm excited to hear that interview myself, just because it's one of them deals where I do an interview. I was talking to somebody. I take away so much information after doing it, because basically just a phone conversation with somebody, and I really enjoy it. But then it's fun because it's like usually 2 or 3 weeks later that one posts, and I can go back and listen to it and catch things that I forgot that they may have said, or the conversations we may have gotten into. So it was really, really interesting. We've gotten a lot of good feedback off of the last podcast that we did with Lisa Sorrell, and so we really appreciate that. That was a fun one. And all in general, I'm getting those people putting in their stories on Instagram or tagging us in Facebook and stuff that are listening to all the way back to Maker's Leather Supply and Odin and Ben Geisler. There's a bunch of good ones on there. So if you haven't known about our podcast, or this is the first time you found us on YouTube, check out Lost Trade on Apple or Spotify, and be sure to check out that podcast. I think you'll really get a kick out of it. We just interview craftsmen of all Western lifestyle craftsmanship. So It's a lot of fun. You can also go to our website at dgsaddlery.com, and there's a button at the top on the home page that says Lost Trade. You can click there too, and then you just go to the Lost Trade page, and there's players for each episode, and you can play them right there if you prefer to do that. A lot of people don't do Apple, and then a lot of people don't do Spotify. It's kind of funny. It's hard to believe that they're the two leaders in podcast, and so we're also working on getting it on iHeart too. I need to check on that because I think we've been on there long enough. iHeart requires you, or at least from the limited research I did, it requires you to be a podcast for so many days or months or something before you can start pushing that feed through iHeart. So we'll look into that. Maybe we'll get it on there. I don't know how many people use iHeart. I use it just to listen to a radio station out of Houston, but other than that, I really don't use iHeart. Well, then at Christmas time I do, because then I listen to Santa music all day in the shop during Christmas. I'm that guy. It drives my friends nuts, but I like it. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. That's really all I got for you this week, guys. I'm going to get back at it. I really appreciate everything. Like I said, all those that bought the sheepskin packs, thank you. And we'll try to get some more back on there. Belt blanks, we'll keep you posted. All the other kits. I did make some of the wallets. I made 2 of the bifold wallets using the new dies, and they seem to work really well. Now my trick is getting a good interior material to offer in those material packs. So I'm not really sure how we're going to do the material packs yet. Some people may have a different interior they want to use, or they want to come up with their own interiors. We may offer just the backs sold in Herman Oak that you can just tool and then put your own interior in there, whatever kind you want. But we're going to work on getting those. But yeah, we'll get those up. But I appreciate y'all watching. Be sure and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And if you like the video or whatever, share it with your friends. If you've got some other craftsmen, even if they're just, if they're silversmiths or spur makers or something like that, go ahead and throw my channel at them and share that too, since we're kind of, we kind of talk about a little bit of everything in here, and I think people would enjoy it. So, but I appreciate you guys, and we'll see y'all in the next Monday morning briefing video.